All right, so I am going to go ahead and unmute Jim. He's going to start things off for us. All right, Jim,
I
are
am
you there?
unmuted. I am unmuted and ready to go. Thank
All
you, Bree.
right. Can everybody
Good.
hear
Hopefully,
Jim before he
yeah,
gets started? All
I'm
right.
seeing lots of I'm seeing lots of yeses. Good. Technology is wonderful. First, if you look at your list of participants, you'll see a second name from Fisher House, Derek Donovan, who is also on it, but he is muted, so he will have to wait his turn. If I can, a bit of history. The year was 2000. The Fisher House program really thought it was beginning to wind down because the military wasn't getting any bigger, and we didn't have to do too much more to meet the needs of the military. And the discussion was, what do we want to do next? And the answer was scholarships. It was something that Zachary and Elizabeth Fisher had started years ago, and we wanted to continue that. So the following year, 2000, or actually later that year, in the year 2000, I attended a meeting of the Defense Commissary Agency in Reno, Nevada, and the director of the Defense Commissary Agency got in front of a group of industry people and presented his vision that the vendors who sell the products to the military and the commissaries would pool their money into a fund to be used for scholarships instead of sponsoring $250 shopping sprees and giveaways of dirt bikes and stereo systems and even cars. So after the meeting, I went up to talk to the director and said, Fisher House had the same thought. Maybe there's room for the two of us to work together. And it turned out there absolutely was, because the federal laws prohibit the Defense Commissary Agency from accepting money from the companies they do business with. And so they needed a third party. They needed an IRS, what was called a 501c3 public charity. And so we volunteered to do that. And Fisher House, in setting up the program, said that it would use money it raised from other sources to underwrite all the costs of the program. So we could go out and tell our industry partners that every dollar that they donated in would be given out in scholarships and nothing would be taken out for administration. And we have been singularly successful. We run the program in conjunction with the commissary agency. The students they can pick up their applications online, or they can pick them up in a commissary, and they turn them in at that commissary. And we guarantee at least one recipient at every commissary where there's at least one qualified student. And then the number of additional recipients is a function of the number of applications that they receive. One of the things early on, which was stipulated to us, was it would have to be a merit-based scholarship program. Because the government was involved, they had no business asking their customers anything about their income levels. The other thing, which was obvious to Fisher House, was we had expertise in a lot of areas, but not in running a scholarship program. And so we have contracted with a company called Scholarship Managers, which actually handles the evaluations and the rank orderings of the candidates, and takes over a lot of the administration of the program. So we just transfer one lump sum of money to them, and they actually write the checks to each school. So it works out across the board that and I can give you some statistics, but in the first 13 years, there were about 72,000 applicants, about 7,400 recipients, and a total of about $1.2 million given out in scholarship grants. Going forward next year, we are going to increase the individual scholarship grant from $1,500 to $2,000 per recipient. So the other dynamic that entered into this, and we've been very successful with the support from industry, was perhaps we could come up with a partnership with the many spouses clubs on the military installations. Since most of you are at installations that have commissaries, it seemed like a natural thing to do. And then Military Spouse Magazine became a good conduit for us, because one thing we both share in common is a wonderful lady named Susie Schwartz, the spouse of the former Chief of Staff of the Air Force. She is on the board of Fisher House Foundation, is on the staff at Military Spouse Magazine. And so Susie helped us put this all together. So our offer is very simple, and that is assuming that most of your clubs raise money and you have scholarship programs, we would like to run that program for you to rid you of the headache of having to organize a committee and go through the evaluations. And what we can promise in return is that our vendor will give a fair and unbiased appraisal of each application and based upon the merits, select the recipients at your installation. And since we do have a great deal of money coming in from the vendors, we will match your money. So, for instance, if you were to donate $1,000 to our scholarship program, we would guarantee a $2,000 scholarship back at your installation, taking your $1,000 and matching it with $1,000 from industry. We realize that this will not appeal to all spouses clubs. Some very much want to get involved in the hands-on part of selecting the recipients, but we've heard from others that they would prefer to have a neutral third party because in a lot of cases you know the applicants and you know their parents, and it's difficult for you to give a non-biased evaluation of the applications. Right now we have one spouses club that we're working with. We really have not marketed this, and thanks to Derek Donovan, who is also a military spouse. He approached the spouses club in Gulfport, where his wife was stationed at the time, and for 2 years now, going on to 3, the Gulfport Officer Spouses Club has donated money to us, and we in turn have matched that and given them back money for their recipients at Gulfport. So with that in the way of a brief overview, Bree will either open it up for questions either through you or online to me or whatever direction you'd like to take it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Does Derek want to speak at all? I can unmute him. Derek, you're unmuted. Did you want to say anything?
Well, I would just say that when I was down at Gulfport, we had a great spouse group. The scholarship program that we had was was pretty robust, and we thought we were doing a good job. But it was a lot of work, and there were some families that were choosing not to apply for the scholarship because of either what their parents did in the military or the working relationships. But it was just kind of awkward, and there were some perceived conflicts of interest, and so we were kind of looking for a way where we could get out from under having those conflicts of interest and still run a scholarship program on the base. And knowing about the DECA program and the Fisher House Scholarship program, I had suggested not just that one, but there's obviously other scholarship options out there. But everybody kind of liked it, and they voted. I abstained, but the club voted, and it was pretty unanimous that we would pick this. And I would just say there was a little bit of, there was a couple of the spouses that were reluctant to give up the authority to pick and to judge. But by and large, everybody liked it very much. It just took an incredible workload off. All we had to do was worry about raising the money. Essentially had to raise half the amount of money that we did in the past. And we still got all the acknowledgement and all the benefits from sponsoring the DECA scholarship. So that was sort of our experience in a nutshell.
Wonderful. That's definitely some good insight about the, getting it started phase. So thank you.
Bree, if I'm still unmuted, hearing Derek reminded me of something else.
Yeah.
No place in the application do we ask anything about any specifics about the parent. We only ask that if the child is under 18, a parent has to sign to attest that they are a military child, and by military child we mean that they possess a DoD dependent ID card or in the DEER system. So we do not ask on the application the branch of service of the parent, whether they're officer enlisted, whether they're active duty, guard, retired, obviously nothing about religion, sex, or anything like that. After the fact, after they're selected, we do go out and ask them for some demographic data so we can just kind of see how well we're doing. One of the stipulations that came on very early from our bosses, the Fisher family, was they wanted to make sure that the scholarships were not going to the sons and daughters of all the generals and the admirals, and it turns out that they aren't. But statistically, in a given year, if we do have, and last year we had 670 recipients, I think that there might have been 6 sons and daughters of flag officers. But again, we found that out after the fact, after they were selected.
Okay. There's quite a few questions coming in, so if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and move to these because I think it will provide a lot more information to continue. Derek and Jim, I have you both unmuted, so feel free whichever one of you would like to answer.
Okay, I say I'll take them, and then if I don't do a good job, then Derek can jump in.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. I know you answered the one via text, but in case people missed it, someone asked if this can be done for guard units as well. So sort of the non-typical military situation where they're not on an active duty base where spouse clubs are easily seen in a big portion of the community.
And so the answer is yes, but we'll just just have to pick one of the commissaries in your state, and we'll work it out through them. Can someone fill the application in one commissary? Yes, we in our instructions, and there is a website, www.militaryscholar.org. We use the term that you normally would submit your application at the commissary where you normally shop. We do recognize divorces, we realize deployments and everything else. So an application can be submitted to any one of the now 246 commissaries. We only ask that they not try to game the system and submit the application at 2 or more commissaries, because if they are caught, they will be disqualified. So just pick your commissary and stay with it. Okay. Can someone, okay.
Another question is, does this apply to all commissaries? So do you know the 200 number that you just quoted? Is that all commissaries? Is that CONUS and OCONUS? Do you know?
That is every single commissary in the system is guaranteed a minimum of 1 recipient if they get as few as 1 application. So because the commissary agency is getting smaller, I think for the upcoming year, I think they project to be at 242 commissaries worldwide. As most of you know, commissaries are closing in Germany and in some other overseas locations.
Okay. Another question was asked. Melinda is new to the military spouse world, and she wants to know if there's someone she can contact to find out which commissary would be a good fit for her unit. I don't know if that's something you'll be able to answer, or us here at Military Spouse can put that in the follow-up email as well.
But Melinda, would you just type in where are you right now geographically, if you would, please? Okay, so Chattanooga is that Arnold Air Force Base? It's close. Is that the closest commissary to you? Or you're not sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the answer is we can do it later. But yeah, we just have to find the closest commissary to where you are, and I think it's Arnold.
Okay. I'll be sure to put a link in the follow-up email that people will be able to search for through the commissary listings.
And at the www.militaryscholar.org website, if you go to the section called Winners, it lists all the winners from this year, and they're listed alphabetically by commissary. So it's an easy way to see all of the commissaries.
Okay. Another question that came in is, does the scholarship apply to military spouses as well, or is this only for children?
This program is only for children. After we were running it for 3 or 4 years, we realized that we probably needed to do something for military spouses, but they could not compete against children. It would have to be a separate program. I mean, military spouses can't have all the activities that high school students have. And after researching it thoroughly, we at Fisher House became convinced that the National Military Family Association probably runs the premier program for military spouses. They've got the largest program. It covers vocational training, community colleges, 4-year colleges, and their overhead is very, very low. They work mostly with volunteers. So every year now for the past 4 or 5 years, Fisher House Foundation has made a $100,000 grant to the National Military Family Association, and there's a link to them from our website, and spouses can go to them to apply for scholarship.
Okay. Another question was, what if the National Guard has a state scholarship? Are you guys willing to match it and select a scholar winner?
I think the answer is yes, but that one caught me by surprise. So in fact, the answer is yes, because we don't really care what the source of the money is, as long as it's donated to us, then we'll go back and match it.
Okay. I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but is the Forest Glen Annex Commissary included?
Absolutely. They had, I can tell you, they had recipients this year.
Wonderful. What is there a minimum age that the children need to be, or a certain grade, like a junior or senior in high school?
The program is for students attending, originally we said for attending 4-year colleges to get a bachelor's degree, but we changed that several years ago and said we would also allow the student to go to a 2-year community college as long as they signed a letter of intent saying they intended to continue on for a bachelor's degree following that. So the program is open to high school seniors, and it's also open to college students, because while you're in college, you can also apply for a scholarship to help you defray the cost of your sophomore year, junior year, or senior year.
Okay. As far as deadlines for these scholarships, is this a year-round program, or when do the final monetary contributions need to be submitted?
The timeline every year is as follows. The program will open the first week of December. I think this year it turns out to be Tuesday, December 3rd. It'll go live on our website, and the applications will be available in all the commissaries. The closing date is February 28th. So there's about a 2.5-month window in there. Submit the applications. The recipients are announced the last week in April or first week in May. The checks to the colleges and universities are written about the last week in July. And what we do is we write the check payable to the college or university, but we mail it to the student, so it becomes the student's responsibility to forward it to the school to make sure it gets into the proper account. And that's the cycle, and then we begin the following year.
Okay. As far as from the spouse club side of it, can they do fundraising and raising the money year round, or do you have stipulations on when they can do that?
They can raise money year round. We do ask that they give us a commitment by about March 1st as to either send us a check or at least do what we would consider to be a pledge and tell us how much money they would get to us so that we can factor that in so we know how many scholarships we can award. And then we would absolutely have to have the money by mid-June at the latest.
Okay. I know we're using the term spouse clubs, but because there's so many different branches and different terminology, is it specific, like it has to be a spouse club, or can they be FRG groups or guard units? Is there a specific, like, do you only want it to be spouse clubs, or can it be a little bit broader?
I think we were using the term generic, so we can be very flexible and work
Okay.
with other organizations that are working for the betterment of military children at their unit or at their installation.
Okay. What was the website for the children to apply for the scholarships? One more time.
www.militaryscholar.org, and I'll put that in. I'll just do that right now, except I can't spell.
Okay. Is there a limit to the number of children that you will give, or the number of scholarships that you'll award one installation or one to one?
We can only award out in scholarships that which we have money in the bank, but we have been able for the last 5 years to be able to give out more than $1 million a year, and that's what we project to do this coming year. For the last couple of years, it's been about 670 scholarships, and we anticipate this coming year to be someplace in the vicinity of a minimum of 600 and possibly a high of 650 scholarships. Again, recognizing we're increasing the amount from $1,500 to $2,000. To get back to the other part of the question, the number of recipients depends upon the number of applications at that given commissary. We do an analysis and try to fair share it so that everybody has an equal chance of receiving one.
Okay. Is this open for all branches, including the National Guard, Reserve?
It is open. It is open to all 5 branches of the armed forces, to include the Guard, Reserve, retired, children of service members killed in service to our country, but it is not open to the Public Health Service or the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Organization. So it's just the uniformed military. And
Okay.
let's see, did I miss part of something else on that question?
No, that was good. That answered it for me. So what is the next step for spouse clubs and people interested? Do they come to you first, contact you, or do they go to their commissary and start there?
They would contact me. The commissary kind of hosts the program, but they have to be very careful what they do and they don't do as far as outside groups are concerned. We do operate under a memorandum of agreement with the commissary agency, but all financial matters are handled by us and not through the commissary system. So the next step for any club interested in doing it would be to communicate with me personally, either by email or telephone, to start the dialogue going and answer any unanswered questions, and we'll take it from there.
Wonderful. Okay, that is Yes, contact info. I blew it up a little bit on the screen, so hopefully everyone can see. Jim's contact info is in the last sentence of this paragraph. I will put it again in the follow-up email that you guys will all receive. If there's any more questions, now is the time to type them into the chat box.
And let me ask Derek if there's anything else he might want to add in.
Sure.
No, I'm all set here. Good job, Jim.
Thanks.
Wonderful job. This has been extremely educational, and it's going to be a wonderful program. And I think the spouses who are in attendance here, and definitely for those of you who are here, spread the word, get this out. This is such a wonderful tool, and it's so easy. I mean, you get to raise money and match it and have it all come back to the children at your installation. So once you get the follow-up email with the link and the additional contact information, please pass it on to others that you know. I think it'll...
Yeah, Bree, let me add that I neglected in adding the recognition part of it, and that is that each commissary store director is asked, not required, but asked to host a ceremony to recognize the recipient or recipients at their installation. And when that happens, normally in the late May to early June timeframe, the sponsor of that scholarship, in this case the Spouses Club, would be invited to that ceremony and have an opportunity to congratulate students and their parents, make any remarks. And also, since the ceremonies are covered usually by the base newspapers and other media, an opportunity for the Spouse Club to get its recognition as being the sponsor or the benefactor of that scholarship.
Okay, another question actually that just came in that does pertain to this. As far as guard units go and using a commissary that's in their state, will will you differentiate that the scholarship comes back to a child in that guard unit and not to another unit in that state?
I'm sorry, I can't guarantee that. All we can guarantee is that the recipient will be someone who submitted an application to that commissary. So that's why that model works a little bit better on an installation than it does in a guard unit.
Okay, that makes sense. So definitely make sure if your guard unit is putting the money into one commissary, make sure the children of that guard unit are also applying through the same commissary, basically.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a maximum income amount you have to make to be eligible?
No, there is nothing in the application that asks anything about the income level of the student or the parents. It's entirely merit-based.
Okay. Well, wonderful. If anybody has any other questions.
But while we're on that, now and incidentally, there's a whole bunch of frequently asked questions on the website. But if the child is receiving a full scholarship and getting all of their expenses already paid, they would not be eligible to receive this money. And that includes students who are accepted in any of the military academies, because that's the equivalent of a full scholarship.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, wonderful. I think that's all the questions that we have today. Thank you so much, Jim and Derek, for being with us and sharing this program. Actually, I'm sorry, one more question. Is there a maximum matching amount?
No, there isn't a maximum matching amount, but again, the amount of money, the amount that we can award at a given commissary is dependent upon the number of applicants. So, for instance, if someone were to donate $10,000 to us, but they only received 5 applications, we're only going to give out 1 scholarship at that installation. So, again, this is something that I can discuss offline with a given Spouses Club. We've been doing this for 13 years, and I can go in and look at historic information and give them my judgment as to about how many recipients they can expect at a given installation.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. And look for the follow-up email. It'll probably come out tomorrow. But if you have any questions, you can either email Jim on his email address here, or if you have anything for military spouse, you can email it into msoy, MSOY, questions@militaryspouse.com. All right. Thanks, everybody, and I hope you have a good afternoon.